Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? So, Dr. Stone, man, I. That's all I can say. Have a good one, everybody. Take care and peace. Nah, man, this week's episode is so good. It is so dang funny. It is got an introduced new character that actually doesn't seem like he is too dumb to not know when he's being used, and he's not dumb enough not to know when to try to use others to figure out what situation would best suit himself. So we are looking at a very cunning and fraudulent guy, and because he's such a like con artist, such a person that just, practically will do anything he needs to get what he needs. It's easy to see where his motives will lie, and I feel like that's the reason why Psyche is kind of not into a position to be like, "Oh, let's just take him out. You're right. He needs to die." And it's not only because of that, but because of the fact that if he does take this man out, it's just going to give the main bad guy, I want to just call him now. They call him Long Hair, um, the villagers anyway, or like the blonde girl who fought him. He will just show up and be like, "Well, you killed one of my messengers, and all I did was send him to see if someone was alive or dead here, and you wound up killing him because he hasn't shown up for a week or 2 weeks. So either you have him prisoner here or you killed him." And that would just raise the eyebrow of that guy. Not to mention, if he was supposed to report back about someone being alive or dead, that's a good instance to see to be like, oh, well, if he didn't want to be found out about being alive, why not kill the guy, right? And it kind of shows you maybe how, one, trusting, or two, untrusting this guy or the main bad guy is of this magician, and just why he would send him with practically nothing seemingly to protect himself. Uh, he probably already, did the same song and dance to get in to where he's at, and I'm guessing that's why he kind of feels like he already doesn't care too much for either side. He just is like, when if anything happens that you guys are trying to stop me from doing, then I'll just smash you. Like, that's kind of his motive now, or like that's kind of his mood. And because he's seeing, or not, he's seeing both sides of the spectrum. I think it was a good idea to send someone like him because he's replaceable, kind of. Like, he doesn't seem like he was that trustworthy in the first place if he already, like I was saying, doesn't care which side wins. So sending him there is almost like sending someone you can't trust, and yet believing, like, why would you believe everything he says if you pretty much met someone that knows no, like, real stopping of lying their way out of situations and being shallow and all that stuff. Like, that's his whole stick throughout the whole entire episode, is just kind of being fast with a lie or fast with his sleight of hand. And that's clearly what probably has kept him alive all this time. And the fact that he doesn't know much about science. Like, you know anything about science around the long-haired guy, and you're done. You're dead. So it's that type of weird energy that he kind of brings that was exciting about this week's episode. Not only was it exciting, it was nice to see just where another one of these experiments or science experiments were gonna go, and we literally get to see, the beginning, middle, and end of it, which was awesome because it turns out to be, the first way of actually making light show up in this dark world. And the way that it was worded and the way that I was put when he says, like, there is no darkness in my age, is because of everything he knows of humanity already defeating darkness, because he knows all of that different stuff that's possible. he won't allow it to not come true in his own time period. And I love that inspiring form of him. Like he needs some type of motivational way of pulling people even more towards the kingdom of science. But not only that, he's doing it without even really trying. He's doing it while doing all of this stuff that's going to not only benefit these villagers, benefit, the world, but at the end of the day, he loves doing this stuff, you can tell, and that's why he's even, risking physical labor even to get some of this stuff done right. So I thought that was a very interesting thing that, all this time he has all these people around him. You saw that once he had just his two friends around him and they knew how he was, he could even had more freedom of not working and stuff like that. So because it wasn't as blunt as him being like, "Oh, I need you to do this because that's all you're good for." He would say, "I need you to do this," and they would be like, "Oh yeah, that's because that's all we're good for." Like they've been in this situation with him long enough to know where his brain is going to go after they're doing something for him. So I love that aspect of the show, and I love that there's more people being brought into his dynamic of treated, excuse me, of being treated like that by him. He's just bringing more people to kind of understanding everything he's doing and trying to do isn't really uh, supposed to be taken negatively. Like he's not. If he wants you to do some hard labor and stuff, it's because he believes it's going to help in the future of things. Like he's not. None of this stuff they're doing has ever been useless, pretty much. So that's what I really like about his character overall, and what he brings to the table. Not only that, he the dynamic is just hilarious. Like the guy with the silver spear and the gold spear just being them. Like if they weren't in this week's episode, sure we wouldn't have had people that could synchronize and row the thing like as good as they did. But at the same time, we also wouldn't have had, like some of the funniest little bicker battles that they had just then with them. uh He's like, "Oh, you just lost your golden spear, and what did you tell me about your golden spear? That you didn't care about it, right? Right? But now that it's gone, you're like a whole new person. You seem really sad." And then next thing you know, he's just on the ground with multiple lumps on his head. So it's like they can continue to build up characters like them and make me love tiny characters that literally are almost staying there posed against our main character, but at the same time, with a little bit of stuff that they actually want at the end of the day, they're willing to do some work. And I like that. I like that the way they pretty much got anybody to help them to work today was because they weren't asking for payment. They weren't asking for anyone to, give them money. All they asked for is some help. And one of the more prettiest girls in the town was like, "Oh man, you made this food and it looks so tasty. What kind of girls are you into?" And he's like, "The girls that work hard and do what I tell them to do." Like I don't know what it is about this show, but it has so much character, so much personality, and if there's any reason why I see any type of negative hate towards it or something, is either it's because it's not an action and there's not enough fighting and stuff like that, or it's for some reason to people, how do I say this? It is a little bit, I guess, too convenient. I don't know. I think everything he's done as quickly as he's done it is just, like, "Oh, that could never be done. How is this even possible?" It's like just like how people make animes with people capable of flying into space within 5 seconds and then coming back the same amount of time without taking any damage or even being burnt and stuff like that. That's anime. That's just how it be, how it do. So to see people like thrown back of how he's creating this stuff was hilarious to me. I was like, well, seeing how we seen different stuff that's even crazier. It's not shocking. It's not shocking to me. They got to push the story narrative forward somehow. Sometimes it's not the best way with shows, but sometimes authors are so good at continuously pushing forward that when they do it, it feels authentic, it feels natural, it feels good. But you also got to remember, like, every single episode now is ending with him learning something that could be better than what he has right now. And then by the end of said episode, he's usually built it or has just made something remotely close that he needed to start building it the correct way. So I can understand that it feels like it's all going very, very fast, but I feel like in the manga and the source material or whatever they're going off of, if it goes this fast in there too, like he figures out he needs something and then he just practically goes out and gets it, then I don't know. Like I don't know how to like what to tell people and fans that are disliking the show besides uh, bagging on something I don't like. So it's not for me, and it's quite boring actually. But to do it and to kind of hold pride into it as well, like you do it and you feel good about talking trash about it or whatever, then maybe it is for you to do it. Like maybe that's just what you guys do. So do what you do. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, but to be fair, I just want to give you my opinion. I'm glad you guys listened. If you did, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, evening, whatever the case may be. I am your boy, the Anime G, and I will definitely talk to you very soon with some more anime. So with that, peace.